Well, Malibu Josh in the house.
Malibu Josh.
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Malibu's #1 cod for now 14 weeks in a row, guys. This is pod number
take it.
14.
Good for us.
Good for us. Well, first of all, I just want to announce for the audience, I think some of you may have missed it at the meeting. We are officially doing a cage fight between the two of you guys.
Yes.
And selling tickets to help the fire brigade.
He's just an architect.
It's like a licensed architect.
I think similar bills, we'll actually sell a decent number of tickets, I think.
When there's this agreement, it's always good. It's good for the conversation.
We fought bulls before. I'm pretty intimidated.
I run in front of them actually, but yeah.
Close enough.
Who would you guys, if these guys actually got into a physical film, who would you put your money on?
Luis, he's more aerodynamic.
I am. I would never fight anyone. Come on. He's a lover, not a fighter.
He is a lover, isn't he? I'm always curious. We've been for the last 10 months, we've been going at this rebuilds and this and that, and all of us are so into it. Give us a perspective of what it's like to see us, go at it from sort of the outside. It's funny because these council meetings, it's all very lovey-dovey, happy. They're talking about the 5K runs and this and that. Everybody's smiling. And then the ReBUild topic comes up. And one after one comments and the smiles disappear. And it starts to get more and more tense. Things like that. But what does the rest of Malibu feel about all of what's going on?
First of all, thanks for having me. Absolutely appreciate that. So your question, what does the rest of Malibu feel like? I can just speak for myself. So obviously Malibu's had two devastating fires, two other fires since 2018. We've had a lot of work to do. And since then, the city hall behind city doors has been in turmoil. So watching you all who are very knowledgeable about the system, which I love watching the pod because you guys are saying what I've been saying for a couple of years, like, yeah. So having insight from behind, for over the years, my family's been involved in Malibu politics for the last 25 years. Like, I understand kind of what the framework they have that they need to work within. It's disappointing to see a lot of the low-hanging fruit not being picked by the council, but at the same time, like, I understand that we have a lot of different frameworks that we need to work within, and at the same time, we're trying to get staff here, and if we're shaking it up every day and arguing amongst ourselves, we can't get staff. It's been a year since we've had a city manager. A year.
How important do you think the city manager is?
It's everything. It's super important that we have a city manager because everything else trickles down, right? So it's, how important is a general to an army? And that's what it is. The city manager's job is simply to take direction from council and then execute day to day.
And
we don't have that.
And this rah-rah isn't really helping.
No, but and it's not just the city manager that we're missing. We're missing assistant city manager. We're missing basically our whole executive team.
Well, we're missing a permanent one, right? We have an interim.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Dennis hired another assistant manager, right? So it's not, do we have,
Now
we have permanent and then
One new interim, right? But it's Christopher interim, the guy who is interested. Yes.
the one who was announced today
Yeah.
is interim. But that may prove to be permanent. But yes, I've been told that we are on the precipice of having a new city manager, and they're great, and everything's going to be fine. We'll see. Heard that before. Lady from Hondale didn't work out so well. So,
to defend the rah-rah a little bit that you said is going on and maybe is creating extra conflict when Malibu has these pre-existing problems. I feel like this disaster and the recovery and the task force and all these residents that have been affected and are speaking up now, they're bringing to surface other things that had long been buried in Malibu that don't directly have to do with the fire. Different factions, different interests, turmoil at City Hall, disputes among council. And I hope that the rest of Malibu doesn't sort of blame the fire survivors and those of us working on this task force, because I do think that we're touching upon things that need to be kind of figured out.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear, and real quick regarding the faction argument.
Yeah.
There's one faction in Malibu. There's the faction, and then there's everybody else, right? I think the faction that we're talking about, there's the no to everything crowd, and it's trickled down to everything. And I think there's a lot of people, and that no to everything crowd who would say, then there's the other side, which are the developers and the greed and the people who are going to sell out Malibu, like, okay, the boogeyman. I think that most of Malibu, including the faction that we're talking about, has the same vision for what Malibu should be, generally. I just think we disagree on the means. And for them, the means have become the ends. And that's, to me, the issue. Just stop everything. We're going to stop everything, and we want to return it to the way old Malibu was. Like, I'm on board with old Malibu. I love that. That's where I'm from. But you can't do it this way.
I really like the way you said that maybe these two sides, even though they're friends and neighbors most of the time, but if they take sides over a piece of development or something, they have the same vision of Malibu.
Yeah. Which
is a great way to put it. It's almost like the ideal way of thinking about American politics is that we might have the same vision. We're just pulling at it to try to keep it in balance, which is maybe what happens in Malibu too. One side thinks there's a boogeyman, has to pull this way. The other side sees the opposite problem, pulls this way, and hopefully the vision stays right in the center. So maybe both sides are needed in the debate.
I disagree with Bruce on the council, let's say it's fairly frequently. However, I do think that he occupies a place of need on that council. When he speaks, like, I learned stuff. Like, let's be honest, like, I learn stuff sometimes, still often disagree.
Very intelligent.
But yeah, he's very smart, and all, respect. Like, that dude fights for what he believes in, and he doesn't care. He's just going to get it done, which, frankly, like, we need some of the other council members to do the same thing, to fight for the residents, and constraints be damned.
But for context and for the viewers, like, who are you? And what is your place in Malibu? Are you on any commission? Like, who has commissioned you? Just for the viewers to know who you are.
Thank you. I love talking about myself. So, Josh Spiegel, grew up here, born and raised, West Malibu. Went through the schools, went through the parks, grew up in the mountains, on the beaches, diving, etc. My dad was a real estate broker. My mom's a realtor. My dad was a parks commissioner, so kind of behind the curtain there. And then my mom dated Craig George. Do any of you know who
He was
Craig
around
George?
the
He was, yeah.
He was a what?
He was
the
the
official.
Yeah, he was the guy at City
So
Hall.
when?
This was
2021 or something like that?
2020. Yeah, very recently.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, fairly recently.
So he was the AHJ in the Woolsey recovery, the first one.
No,
It was a plan check.
I thought he left before Woolsey.
Member.
Anyway, so for years and years, my mom dated Craig, so I got to learn a lot there. And then since then, just my sense of community, etc., got involved. Someone asked me to, Skylar asked me to be his parks commissioner. Then
When he was a council member.
when he was a council member, so I was on parks. And then Paul Gersani asked me to be safety commissioner, and then Halen has kept me on.
Okay.
So I'm the chair of the Public Safety Commission. So very active. I work trying to get things done in Malibu. So I see the constraints that everybody's talking about.
You've devoted a lot of time for the residents.
And you missed out something super critical that happened last weekend, as I understand. You're now a official community brigade member as well, along with these two fellows.
We're in
yeah?
training. I don't think
Working on it.
We're not official.
Yeah,
you're not official.
I don't know. I haven't earned the title. Keegan Gibbs and Brent Woodworth have built an organization that's impactful in our community. We're trying to do a lot of things. They've done something that's incredible. And there's, once this class graduates, there will be about 100 members.
Oh, wow.
With state-of-the-art PPE, trucks, and training.
How long is the class?
It's 3 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, all
So
day.
it's pretty intense.
Yeah, and then continuing education every quarter.
What education of you continuing ed?
Yeah.
And when did this organization start in Malibu?
Post-Woolsey. Yeah, this was born.
So before Woolsey, there was no fire brigade at all.
There were neighborhood brigades. Corral had one. That was born out of the Corral fire in the 90s. And then Malibu West was built by Dermot Stoker. Shout out Big Durham. He built something really cool. And then I give Dermot a lot of credit because he made a very credible brigade in Malibu West that I'm also a part of. I'm proud to be part of.
David Hertz, this really cool architect, is he part of one of the brigades?
Is in the community. Yeah.
And the training that we're receiving is the training of a wildland firefighter.
That's correct.
So it's a mix of sort of like in a classroom and you go out and do stuff.
Yeah, it's fire science, the theory behind fire science, how to prevent its spread, and then field training with, equipment and, learning how to act.
So you can hook to a hydrant
Contain fire.
and all of that?
And who's training you guys?
We have Chief Updike.
Dave Updike.
Yeah.
So those are the fire
Outstanding.
department guys.
He's a Forest Service chief, like big time Forest Service chief, with over 30 years of experience in training firefighters, wildland
Can
specifically.
anybody volunteer to be part of this, or is there a certain criteria?
I think they had 500 people that signed up, and they were only able to
Bring
take
50.
on.
You have to. There's an interview process, an evaluation process.
So when you speak of expansion, the first class happened last year, and just a few weeks after they had their training, Broad Fire happened, Franklin Fire happened, and Palisades Fire happened, and there was nobody that had more experience than them and those. So
They're pros.
And it's 100% voluntary, right? I mean,
Correct.
So 100% voluntary. So thank you guys.
So big respect to Keegan. and
Great. That's
these guys.
His organization is unbelievable. I mean, what I've learned in the last 2 weekends is way beyond my understanding of fire up until now.
Yeah.
And Chief Updike, Keegan, everybody that they're using to help educate us, they're experts. And
So I give one example. Something that I didn't know, something that I was very upset right after the fire, which is nobody came up Big Rock. And I am still very frustrated about it, but I now understand why those firefighters that came in from other states didn't dare to get to go up Big Rock.
Sure.
Because the kind of wildfires that we have, those wind-driven fires, are very special and unique to this area. And they don't know that. And when they see that kind of stuff, they're not trained for that. They don't know how the fire acts in that situation.
even LA City firefighters, they don't know the landscape like we know the landscape. And one of the big strengths of the brigade is people that are in it. We all know Malibu. We know the roads, we know the valleys, we know the canyons that are going to be problematic. A firefighter from downtown LA comes out here, it's all foreign to him immediately. And to risk his life wandering around in an area that he's unfamiliar with, that's not a call that they're really going to take.
And also the priority is to save lives first and then structures, if safe for the firefighter.
And then
That's maybe why they...
And it's I'm assuming this is beyond fires. This is for any sort of emergency that might happen.
The focus now is fires and mitigating fires, like home hardening to mitigate fires, landscaping to mitigate fires.
Every single brigade member loves our community enough to volunteer to go fight fires. You better believe that we're going to respond if there is an issue in Malibu, right? I don't know if that's in a brigade capacity or an individual capacity or what, and I don't want to get ahead of Keegan, so sorry, Keegan, but like,
We have to get
dude, if there's an earthquake, I'm helping. I don't care. Like I'm helping. Period.
Yeah,
End of
like I
story.
say, it's a volunteer town. I mean, it's a
100%.
volunteer town. Everybody's volunteering. So that's a good segue into with this massive change, and we're seeing lots go up on sale, and developer interests and so on and so forth. Are we afraid that that's unique characteristic of Malibu might change? Is it like, what are you seeing in the front lines from a real estate standpoint? Eastern Malibu, Western Malibu, what are some of the trends?
Well, we can talk about some lessons learned from Woolsey, right? We can say, Woolsey was a little bit different because post Woolsey, we had incredible interest rates, right? So let me back up for a second. What we're looking to do is rebuild, right? So that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So what do we need to rebuild, right? We need, one, the people who live here to rebuild their homes. Two, developers to come in, rebuild homes, sell homes, people move in, hopefully full-time, who can contribute, right? Who can join the brigade. Awesome, right?
So more than rebuild, we want also not to lose the community that we had before the fire, if possible, right? That's what a lot of people.
Right, it's essential.
That's why we want to help the fire victims rebuild, primarily, right? I don't know if we agree.
Well, that's why he said it was number one.
Ultimately, what we want is full-time residents back in their homes or new full-time residents in homes that have been rebuilt by the residents, by developers, by themselves. Who cares, right?
And what are we seeing? Are you seeing like a fundamental shift happening? I was looking at some data the other day. It looks like about slightly under 20% of the lots that were impacted are up for sale, something like that.
Yeah, look, we can look at some Malibu stats, right? And I don't know where to start, but why don't we just look at lots,
Yeah.
right?
Can I rewind you because
Hit
you're
it.
making an interesting point before we cut you off. Post Woolsey, we maybe had a more favorable environment for development or
100%.
because of interest rates.
Interest
that we
rates.
don't have right now.
Yeah, because developers
So
could
that's
come
extra.
in and they could do the back of the envelope numbers.
And it worked out.
Easily. And there's a buffer in there.
Right.
Right? So a developer could come in at Woolsey and be like, $3 million lot on, let's say, Cuthbert. Right? $3 million bucks. It's going to cost me $1,000 a square foot to rebuild this 4,000 square foot house. Okay? So now they're in it for 9. Call it cash carry. They're in it for 10. Be prepared to sell it for 12. Now those houses are sitting on the market because they wanted to list them for 19, 17. They got greedy, or they overspent, and now they're sitting. But several have been sold at pretty high numbers, and a lot of them have been bought by young families. If you go to MES, it's just, we're bursting at the seams with young kids.
So going back to the numbers that you stated, so that equation for developers is not panning out anymore?
No, because the back of the envelope numbers are. Let me get into it, right? So let's before I get into the back of the envelope numbers, let's look at kind of what we have right now in Malibu, right?
Yeah.
There's about 190 active lots in Malibu. Okay?
When you say active means
That for sale, actively on the internet, you can go, you can find them. 190.
This is across
This is
Malibu.
Mulholland, Payuma to the coast.
this is also
Boom.
unincorporated,
Right.
And we don't know about the geologies, just lots that are
Right.
active.
So then I eliminated
He's built houses, right?
No,
lots, just
Two
lots,
that could be developed.
just lots for sale. 80 of them have been sold since January 1st. So I took out everything under $1 million because there's a lot of lots being sold for 200,000. Maybe you get a transfer development credit.
PDCs, yeah.
Yeah, right. Or somebody bought it for the cost of beach club membership or whatever it is, right? So total lots over $1 million, we have about 105. 49 have sold in the last year, and there's 10 under contract.
And these might include Woolsey burnouts.
There's a few left. Most Woolsey burnouts sold or have been rebuilt or whatever it is.
Geologies, no. Right?
Yeah, I do want to state a caveat. There's 84 expired listings. So we can't sell. The people just get tired of trying to sell their lot. Screw it. Just let it expire. I'll keep hanging on to it. In the burn area today, there are 50 active.
Burn area,
Palisades burn area.
not
No, just east. This is Malibu Canyon to Tuna. I did not include Sunset Mesa.
So 50 out of how many properties burned? Not 700, 720, that's a start.
54 active doesn't include the number that are sold.
Right.
54 active out of how many parcels were affected by the burn area? I think it's less than 700. 700 is the number of the structures that were burned.
600. It's 593.
Yeah. Okay. So
Now,
10%.
of those 50, 30 are off the beach. That's everything on the hillside, right? Land side off the sand. And 20 are on the beach. Okay? On the beach, 17 have sold.
Those January?
Since January.
So those are the
and
the
5
Mulberry
are under
brothers,
contract.
right?
Quite a few.
Presumably, yeah, Mulberry. Yeah.
So 10 at least are the Braves,
Uh-huh.
right? About 88 million. I know of probably a half dozen that were just bought by neighbors. Now they have more frontage. They can maybe add a pool. They can do whatever they want to do with that.
And those are all, so those are always in the market, or there might have been off-market deals that are not included?
Just total off. This is everything.
Transactions.
Yeah, this is, I'm just talking about active, but the solds are on and off market.
Okay.
Right. So we're talking about 17 sold on the beach and 8 off the beach
17 sold total since January? That's not right.
on the beach. Yeah, there's since January.
only-
And there's 5 under contract.
And then you.
So there's 500.
No, because I know somebody on Dog Beach bought his neighbor, because they used to be my neighbors, but he wanted what you're talking about, maybe a deck, maybe a yard, maybe a pool. It's just lower than I thought. Carbon, I thought the Mulberries had 14 plus mine.
They have
I don't know the
10.
exact number, but it
10
sounded
at
like they were
least.
between 10 and 12 or something.
This is just publicly available data. So
Okay.
sold or under contract, we're at 22. Right. Sold or under contract.
22. Okay.
Under contract means in escrow.
Yeah, in escrow.
And if not,
Yeah.
if it was never listed on the MLS, it should still end up in your data there as sold.
Yeah, if it's sold. Yeah, the MLS pulls tax data. But some things slip by, you know.
Maybe they'll
Sometimes.
report it later or
Yeah,
whatever.
sure.
So there's probably, it's fair to say that there is some level of underreporting. This is the minimum number.
And so 17 on the beach have sold, and maybe you're going here, but what about land side? How many have sold on the
8.
lands?
8 on the land side.
Yeah.
It's actually less turnover than I would have thought.
In 1 year.
It's not turnover though, because there are some.
There's
that are,
30 active.
there are 30.
And there's going to be another 30 over
So I
the
think
next
that's
6 months.
That's Josh's point, right? Is that,
Minimum.
is that the numbers aren't panning out for buyers to come in.
Why would they?
For end users maybe, but for developers it doesn't make sense.
No.
Especially when you got whole
And I can
field
explain why.
development in the Palisades.
Developers are afraid to come into Malibu because of the unknowns, right? You go up into the La Costa, the Ramblin' neighborhoods, right? So the back of the envelope numbers look like this. They say, what can I buy it for? What is it going to cost to build? What is it going to sell for? So the first known is, what can I buy it for? Okay, somebody wants to sell their property for $2 million. What's it going to cost to build? I don't know.
How long is going to take?
There's new factor of safety on Rambla. Is it $1 million foundation? Is it $300,000 foundation? Is it a $2 million foundation? On top of what are they going to build for? And then what's it going to sell for? In the Palisades, we know these numbers. Within $50,000, like, you know what it's going to sell for. You know what you're going to build it for.
You got the market's on very.
The market is on fire.
Market's on fire. Like you have to compete.
So
Buy lots in the Huntington or the Alphabets or wherever.
So there's 17 active land properties in the Palisades for sale right now. Okay?
In Malibu.
And no, in Palisades. 235 are either sold or under contract right now. Wow. 235.
So 80.
Everything is selling. Everything.
And 90% selling above ask.
Yeah, lots are, the typical Palisades lots, they're going for like $1.5 million, $1.7 million. And then these guys, they know exactly what they can build for.
Yeah.
No,
They're building.
Huntington Josh is selling for over 4.
Yeah, there's neighborhood.
420,
Right.
420 a square foot
Sure.
at
Sure.
Huntington.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
And it depends on a lot, but I'm talking about your standard.
The Marquez Knolls, yeah.
Yes, like sure, your standard Palisades house where you build 4,012 square feet, and it's going to cost you, $500 a square foot to build or less. I know guys in there who claim they can build for $280 a square foot.
Cost of construction should be, I understand Malibu is a bit further away from the sources of materials and stuff. So there's a little, maybe staking sometimes depending on the road, but cost of construction, labor, that should be apples to apples with the Palisades. Why isn't double the price in Malibu?
I don't know if it should be doubled because I'm dealing with this, firsthand, right? I'm building in all 3 different areas now. But there are some of these things like the cost of the septic, for instance, then what your geology does and the cost of the foundations, those are unknowns. And I think that's what's freaking people out. I mean, look, at the end of the day, building the house, the nuts and bolts of it isn't that dramatically different, but it's a couple of these things that we talked about, which is the unknowns and the limited labor pool. And the other side of it is that if you have competing interests in a known area for the subs, why would they choose to come here and feel vulnerable?
Good lunch break for you.
Good luck, Rick. We do in the summer.
Amazing. So these lots in the Palisades that are selling like hotcakes, there's a big pool of buyers that can pencil out that 1 year of extra carrying cost because they know how long it's going to take to get a permit, and then they know how long it's going to.
That's exactly right, yeah. And they're buying 9 at a time, 40 at a time. Find me every single lot, I'll buy them all.
We don't have that
Crazy.
certainty in Malibu.
Exactly.
And so it's hurting people that need to sell their lots who just can't afford to rebuild. And frankly, it's a bigger issue than just this rebuild. We have to, if fire's going to be a part of Malibu's future, just like it's been part of our past, it's going to be a part of our future. Sure. We have to become a more resilient community. We have to fight it better with buff men like this, and we have to rebuild from it faster, because if somebody's plunking down $15 or $20 million, they're not going to do it if they're scared of the next fire rolling through. And they're especially not going to do it if they, God forbid, they lose that house, they don't have the faith that they can rebuild it expeditiously and fairly.
Yeah, I think all people have short memories.
Very short memories.
You're down there and you look at all the foundations, and then you look up at the hillside, you burn scar, but look at look at the Woolsey scar. We're back, baby.
Well, this is what I want
You
to
know what I
say.
mean? Like, we're back.
Are we? Because there are things we can't control, like interest rates.
I'm saying visually.
Yes,
Right.
but those houses in Woolsey are not selling quite like people hope.
So people are living there in that burn scar. They're living
But all right,
there.
so let's kind of double click on that. Let's double click on that. How is the post-developed Woolsey doing? From a price standpoint. I mean,
Well, we can talk about the housing market as a whole in Malibu. I mean, I have some stats on that. We can go back. Look, I compiled total sales, right? Home sales on the beach, off the beach, Mulholland to the sand, the whole thing. 2021, we had 290, right? That's like maybe 20% higher than normal, right? That's big. Normal is about 230, 240 homes deals a year. 2022 is normal, 224. Then we started to see our dip. We went to, in 2023, 130 from 224. Then it kind of stayed the same, 143, and then this year we're on track for about 100.
And then how was
so
it?
2021
That was got a spike.
immediately post-COVID.
Interest rates at zero.
Yes.
That was
Yeah, they were paying, he was like, please, we'll pay you to.
What would be the average?
2017. COVID.
2007.
That's when the
Before the Woolsey fire.
Before Woolsey, interest rates are like 3.5%, right? Like, it's, America's good, we're probably like 220 homes, 230 homes. Everybody's still making money.
So 200 roughly should be the average number of transactions a year.
220, yeah.
Where we at this year?
We're gonna be like right around 100. It's 97 so far.
What do you guys think this is going to go? Now we are starting to see more permits come through. Are we going to see a pickup in building, or are we going to see a pickup in more for sale signs?
So in real estate, there's an old saying, right? You're either first, you're best, or you're cheapest. So my intuition is, and just lessons learned from the past, we're going to see people understand that they can't get top dollar for their lot until they get basically RTI. Or you're going to start seeing people being like, I want to rebuild. I don't know where to start. My cousin is going to help me kind of rebuild. Then they're going to get fatigued and then they're going to sell. They're trying to get this number when their house is worth this, and then they're going to end up with this. That's what's going to happen. And we're going to see, from 30 actives, we're going to go to 90. And then the deal hunters are going to come in.
I like when I design the homes, I want to design them for the person who's gonna live in them, right? Hopefully the original fire victim that lost the home, we're gonna let them.
Yeah.
Shit happens and they decide to sell, right?
Sure.
So what is the difference between selling the lot without any sort of entitlements, selling the lot with just plain approval that should be taking only 10 days, supposedly, or selling the lot with an RTI that takes more like 9 months?
Yeah, it's a complicated question because let's say we did the $1 million, right? Your lot's worth $1 million. If you have it RTI, maybe it's worth $1,050,000 or $1,150,000.
So you think?
But
Okay, yeah.
But what else? And you're going to spend $100,000 to get there.
Yeah, meaning it's
Right.
not worth the cost to the
At the
seller.
time.
Well, except you
But-
don't have your
but-
land.
If your lot is worth, let's say you think it's worth $1 million, I'm a buyer. And I say, why is your lot worth $1 million? How much is it going to cost to build? I don't know. Okay, well, I can't buy your lot. Sorry. I'm going to go to this guy
Can't get it
over here,
specialist.
and I'm going to offer one of these 12 sellers money to buy their lots with RTI.
Okay, but hold on.
So you're missing out on you're not just missing out on that like 110, right? You're missing out on the opportunity cost of moving on with your life.
Tell me this: how do we become the Palisades where they're getting multiple bids on a lot? How do we go from this where it's a buyer's market where you can say, I don't want your lot, I want his lot, so give me a lower price, to the Palisades situation where they're getting multiple bids?
So it's a great question, and if you look at Palisades, right, and Josh, feel free to disagree, but what I noticed was immediately after, right, there were a few lots that went up and people sort of jumped right into action. The pricing was kind of going up a little bit, and then it stopped. Then the market kind of fought a little bit and prices started to go down, and the bottom almost started to fall from some of those lots. So they started, and then we saw that happen for about 3 months or so when things weren't quite moving. People were panicking a little bit, and then the sticks started to go up in the air. You start to see framing happen, and now the energy has completely shifted. And what my forecast is for Palisades, guys, is this thing is going to come back way faster than anybody thinks or anticipates, because we are starting to see the flywheel effect. We are starting to see momentum. It's like this grand track development that is going on by multiple independent developers, including some guys like I see Thomas James Builders and things like that, who are not that small. And I know BlackRock has acquired a bunch of properties, and then there are guys like me who are doing a few, whatever, right? So,
But let's not confuse a whole neighborhood full of certificate of occupancies with the rebuild of a neighborhood. So one more thing still needs to happen. People need to move into these places.
Yeah.
So if now all of a sudden you have 300 $5 to $8 million homes and interest rates are 5.5% to 6.5%, how many buyers are there out there? So I think that there's a possibility. I think at least the optics, we're going to see this Palisades roaring back to life. And I think that there will be 100 fast closings from homes, right? 150. And then there's going to be 200 that sit there and they're like, oh shit, now we have to be cheapest.
I think
or we have to be best. And then there's going to be sticks in the air, and those same developers who have 9 houses for sale don't have the money to finish those other houses. Wow. That's a very real possibility, and that
you think that is going to happen with Palisades? I mean,
I'm saying worst case. I'm not doom and gloom, but
that could have happened in, I don't want to pick on Palmdale or somewhere, but far out there. But this is specific Palisades. Like even in 2008 or so, when some of the suburban neighborhoods took almost a 50-60% price drop, these premier areas, Santa Monica, Palisades, Beverly Hills, Malibu, we saw what, maybe 20%, maybe 30 in some cases drop, but then they were largely pretty stable. My point is that because these areas have such strong brand values, and because there are so few pockets that are remaining, that if one wants to be close to LA City, one wants to be close to the Industrial District, close to LAX, there are only so many places that you can actually live at. So are we going to see that glut? Because that's what
Supply and demand, right? It's just pure supply and demand. So we have the supply coming, and I think we all agree on that in the Palisades. Where's the demand, right? So in order to buy a $5 million house, what do you need, right? You need $1 million to just put down. And at 6%, you're borrowing that other $4 million, okay? That's $25,000 a month, plus another $5,000 for property taxes, that's 30, plus insurance, call it 35. How much money do you need to make a year? You need to be making $1 million a year.
But
how many people on earth
every time
make that?
But Josh, every
No,
time,
I don't. Shit.
For 20 years, I've thought that living in Los Angeles.
Sure.
Who's going to afford this house? Who can afford that house?
But it's one.
Okay, so the
But
quantity.
it's one, not 300. Hearing these developers, they buy for 2, they build for 3, right? Let's say they build for 2, right? They're carrying $4 million at 10%. That's $40K a month.
I hear you.
And now if it sits for 10 months,
I hear you.
they're done. That's a wrap.
We've also seen throughout the city, it's always amazed me, construction on these big mansions starts and then maybe it stops.
Sure.
Because they ran out of money.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sits for 6 months. Somebody else comes in, they finish it, and they sell it, and it's all fine. I think you're right that the scale of this event will be, like, we're going to see an influx of luxury housing right in the center of the West Side that LA hasn't seen in decades and decades, so that'll be interesting.
Are there going to be enough buyers or not? But here's another interesting point, right? Immediately after the fires, right? I was thinking like, okay, how many? We lost so many homes. Palisades and Malibu combined, over 5,000 homes lost, and we thought this. How are we going to fill this massive housing shortage? Not only the homes lost, but several others also moving out of these areas. And where will these people go? And immediately, again, there was this scramble to get whatever rental you could get and so on and so forth. Everything was centered around the West Side. People would find whatever they could get on the West Side. Some may have moved to South Bay, but the farthest they went was down to maybe Palos Verdes, a handful of families, but really everything was centered there. Nobody went there. So there's this allure of being on the West Side.
It's with the West.
People don't know that there is a world out there. And that's
They
why-
weren't coming here. Well, the PCH was shut.
Yes.
Are you supposed to?
filtering down to the South Bay, Santa
Yeah,
Monica?
there was a few.
And Beach. Yep.
But getting that highway open was a big deal, and we're still reeling from that. I wish that it stayed open. I understand why it didn't, but in a perfect world, if it had stayed open, how many families could have come and at least had a taste of what Malibu is, and then they would stay. I know several families who came out here. So I have 2 little girls, right? 4 and 7. And so I meet a lot of families. There's a lot of Palisades victims out here, families. And now they want to stay.
Nice.
Just give them people just need a taste of what this place is, and they'll stay if they can afford it.
So what would you have done better if you were in the counter? Let's get.
Ooh, I would not have sat there and been placated by the Army Corps of Engineers and the Board of Supervisors and I kind of feel like Malibu was walked all over instead of Malibu flexing its muscles and saying, absolutely not. We are not going to allow you to use our roads to rebuild the Palisades and at the expense of our businesses and our families. After Palisades and Santa Monica shut their door on us during Woolsey evacuation. I don't know how many of you were here, but they shut their door on us. So that's one thing that upset me. I know that a lot of the council members, probably all of them, disagree with me, but I would have fought harder, for sure.
To keep the highway open.
To keep it
They
to at
aren't
least
for the purposes of cleaning just the Palisades mostly, right?
almost all of that debris was coming through Malibu. Them. They could have gone Sunset to the 405 or the 10. They just didn't want to because it was more efficient to come this way. I would have demanded, okay, it's more efficient. Just get 300 more trucks.
Or shut down the 405.
Hey, that one. Yeah, you can't do that. But, I don't think that I'm being realistic. I was very emotional and still am. I want to fight from out.
And what will you do right now? We're in November 2025.
I'd hire a fucking city manager is what I would do today.
A permanent one.
They say, we've got to get this right. No, bro, you're out of time. You ran out of time. Yeah, you failed.
Did you watch the strategic plan that they presented? It was Monday night.
Stop looking at plans.
That was last night.
Honestly, and the city, all we do is plan, and we do studies, and then we sit on our hands and do nothing.
If you could pick only 3 things, top priority for Malibu right now, which ones would be?
Rebuild the inside of City Hall rapidly, effectively, double everybody's salary if that's what you have to do. I would immediately, I would sue the school district, Santa Monica, Malibu, USD, to separate. I would just shift gears and absolutely just batter them with lawsuits, anything that I could come up with. Just start, because the separation isn't happening after all this time. Maybe
How long has that been in process?
20 years, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. And we've come to agreements before. We're going to vote on it. It doesn't happen. We're going to vote, and we're still licking the boot. So I don't get it. It's time to change, shift gears.
Because 2, what would be the number 3?
3 is immediately hire a firm to design the sickest parks we have ever seen. Build one on Heathercliff and build one on the Aoki property.
Nothing on DCH safety?
Well, of course.
You just gave
But we're doing...
That should
Right,
be
so
the
we're
number.
talking about rebuilding. We're talking about rebuilding Malibu, right? So we already have the Caltrans at the table. They're gonna do this, right? It's gonna be appealed, and then MTC, their appeal is going to fail. Okay, typically does, but it's going to fail, and then we're going to get that. Okay, and then Caltrans is going to be at the table. There's all sorts of infrastructure and safety projects that I want to get done. But the things that are low-hanging fruit, this is rebuilding Malibu. What do we need to rebuild our community? Strong schools, great safety, parks,
Attractions.
a great place to live.
Attractions.
Why do people want to be here?
Yeah.
People are no, Malibu, there's nothing to do. Okay, well, your kids have an awesome school, so you don't have to go spend $60,000 a year at Viewpoint, right? That's $1 million.
So it's kind of
That's $1 million mortgage that you no longer have to spend. So how does that attract people to Malibu? If you can buy a $4 million house instead of a $3 million house,
so it's more like instead
because you don't have to send your kids to private school.
of visitor serving, which Malibu will always be, also like resident serving.
No, it's resident serving. The parks it's all about residents. The parks and the schools are about residents, period. Yes, other people from communities will use that, but we gotta have residents first. And we haven't been thinking about that. We haven't been thinking about the future. We've just been reactive.
So that's also a problem with politics, right? It's a 4-year term. There's no continuity through that, and so we need to keep staff.
But there's also, I think what Josh is articulating is there seems to be a lack of vision, which I think Josh is presenting very, very vividly.
But this strategic plan should have been this.
Yeah, we always do. Listen, I've been in this game a long time, right? Do you know how many plans we've had, and how many task force and how many studies? We're done here. We're doing this. We're hiring this guy to do this. We're hiring this guy
Look,
to do
if you
that.
make a mistake,
Done.
you make a mistake. We are talking about a city manager hire who may be less than perfect.
And they are going to be.
Yes.
You make no mistake.
It's gonna
Whoever
be
we
fun.
hire,
So it's gonna.
there's going to be 7,000 people in Malibu who don't know, who don't care, right? Who hired. There's going to be 600 who say she's great or he's great. This is awesome. And then there's going to be 14 on Facebook and next door being like, "Ah!" right? So that's the way it is, right? So just hire somebody, let them just give them a couple years to get their feet under them.
Grow into it.
Yeah.
Whoever gets hired will grow into it or give up, and then you hire somebody else.
But then they're in the speaks against ULI, right? To come and help.
Well,
get
there
these things done.
No, you don't need ULI to help this stuff. You need people in Malibu to help with these.
We
things.
do, and the
ULI
ULI
brings in outside dollars from deep developers.
Now, Darren, what you're seeing right now, you see, but this year, this outsider sphere that we have in Malibu, right? We have this comic book they have this in France, Asterix and Obelix. It's like this little town that is resisting the Roman Empire. This is Malibu. So this thought of, oh shit, if we open the door, Malibu's going to shit. This is what, I mean, how do you...
But if you leave the door closed, it gets even worse. And I can point to 6 or 7 things.
Can I say, I'll point to an obvious one. Our population is less than it was in 1991. There is no excuse for that being the case. We've been hit by some major wildfires, which doesn't help. But we need to attract a population to live here full time. I'm not saying it needs to be 25,000.
That's not Malibu. That's just Malibu being Malibu. The secret got out in the late 90s.
So hold on. What was our population in 1991? 15,000 maybe?
No, that's rather like call it. Let's say it is right.
Okay.
What do I know?
Why is it 7 right now?
Well, let's say
Can we get back to?
let's say in 2023, like right, it was probably like 11,000. It's because Malibu is Malibu. It's beautiful and people want second homes here. Right? And that's the same thing has happened in a lot of different places. Marin and
Fair enough,
Carmel.
but we have a lot of houses that are not filled, primary or secondary. So my point is, we all love the old Malibu.
Yeah.
Even slow growth people love the old Maui. We don't have the old Malibu. We have some new underpopulated vacant Malibu. Let's go back to the old Malibu and then talk to me about slow growth. Let's get back to par and then we can start talking about slow growth.
Yeah, so in order to get back to the old Malibu where you have families living here, this is their primary residence, what do you need? You need people to stay for 20 years. You need schools, parks,
But also
safety.
more affordable. You have to promote more homes that cost 5 million, not 17 million.
Okay, we'll get there.
4 Point Dune Club.
Fair, but
4 Point Dune Club. Is it $1 million, $1.5 million?
dude, there's some big boys
There's-
There's some ones that sell for like 5-6 million.
There's
They're
opportunities for all kinds of housing in Malibu. There really is.
I don't know.
20
It's
million?
so difficult to build here, bro. Like,
What do we have the podcast for?
we're trying to change. Well, that's where I want to get him to. How to improve the permitting process here? For all Malibu, not just for.
Well,
you
yeah.
also
talk about
Without opening the door to development.
Number one, we got to stop these appeals. Listen, every single thing that we do in Malibu, from infrastructure to highway safety to every single thing that we do, runs through planning. And when we appeal, knowing that they're going to lose that appeal, it just gunks the system.
So why do we?
that's-
But why do we have appeals? Because it's our right to have appeals.
Absolutely.
People pay taxes. They are residents. They have a right to do it.
Yeah, the law says yes, but the law isn't the arbiter of right and wrong.
So we should either change the law or maybe make a better process so there's less fear.
Let's change
so
the
there's
culture.
less
I don't want to
need
change
to
any
do that.
laws.
I think culture is the right.
I like that you can appeal. I love that you can't. I don't like that you can abuse it.
Everything
because
is
you
so
can-
discretionary in this town. If we make it more black or white, you can do this or not, there will be less appeal.
What if you raise
Everybody
the
will-
price of appeals from, what is it, $750 to $7,500? That'll cut it down a lot.
I don't like, I've heard that suggestion. I like that people can't.
It needs to be a culture change.
The way it's working now, with the way we've slowed down everything to a crawl, right? We're not talking about fire rebuilds. I'm just talking about you buy a piece of dirt and you want to build, let's say 5 years it takes to get a coastal development permit. Who are the people who can do that? It's the wealthy, it's the developers, and it's the wealthy developers. Who can't do that?
Everybody else.
Everybody else, the
we
people
want.
who want to live here.
Yeah.
So you, by slowing down the process, which is, I think, the goal. I mean, you had Bruce on here who actively said, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to slow it down so we don't have developers. Well, that's what's happening. And the only market segment you're preventing from coming into Malibu are the people that we want.
So how come
So you're
we make
slowing
them
it down to prevent the developers from coming in, but the only thing is it creates a system that can only be
Yeah.
tackled by
It goes
developers.
back to Danny's point, right? I mean, in the baseline, if you have old Malibu slow development, that tenant is okay. It doesn't work right now.
And also the prices stay up, but we can complain as much as we want. If we don't propose solutions, we can be complaining for years. Like, Zuma J has said this publicly, like the less people build, the more the values stay higher too, right?
Supply and demand. Supply stays the same, demand goes up, the price will go up.
So that's one approach, but
But we need
What
to
is the
cost that prices will not stay elevated if people don't trust that Malibu is going to be a safe town to live in and a resilient town on disaster.
I deal that with all day.
Exactly. So
All day. It's
Is that
always,
really what
it's always
fires are
rejection.
First top of mind is.
But
is it
they're
really
already
safe?
yeah, but they're already here, right? They're already open to the idea. Look, I mean, listen, I live in Malibu West. That's like the blue collar neighborhood, right? It's not really, but I mean, kind of is. It's not. I can't stay here if the prices go up. I don't make any more money.
but it's supply and demand, which you said. You can't magically change market prices.
Right.
Maybe some things are too high. They will come down in order to sell. You can't cut everything by 50%. It just doesn't work that way.
I've heard the opposite though. Like
You can if interest rates come down. Because all of a sudden your monthly, it's all about monthly nut in this world.
So then the price.
What
will be
happens
competitive
actually
with monthly.
when interest rates drop is you have more buyers, which pushes prices up. And those houses that are
It'll
sitting at 15 will sell at 15 instead of them having to cut the price now to 13. But I will agree with you that if it takes 5 years to get a CDP, the only people that can afford to do that are people that can carry it for 5 years, and they have to build a 5,000, a 10,000,
You have
12,000.
to maximize your opportunity.
Rough. They
Yeah.
can't build a 2,000,
And
3,000
I'll take
foot
it
house.
a step further. 5 years for CDP, but if it takes 1 year to get a fire rebuild permit, even that's a no-go. Right? I mean, that needs
It would be a no-go for me, yeah.
that needs to be slashed to a month, 2 months, 10 days.
Right, and then we start seeing
For a
Palisades and
for
Fort
planning approval.
no planning approval, no, the whole thing. Like
Really should be over the counter for
the airport, it takes 2 to 3 months to get your full permit.
Holy
C'est juste admit.
But what you start getting then is plus 10% rebuilds. That's what you mean. Instead of what's going to happen.
And that's how you build a family's on.
No, of course that's fine. But the opposite is developers have no choice but to push the margins.
Yeah, so okay, that's
We were doing that in Woolsey. Were you guys? I don't know
It was option 4, right?
Yeah, option 4, which I didn't like, but at least people could. One interesting thing is you can't do basements, right? Basements aren't part of that 10%.
And we was one policy, and I was one of the few ones that I said, hey, if you get 1,000 square foot for free.
I don't understand why everybody.
Yeah. So
No,
I don't understand the
It's
anti-views
crazy.
because it's not affecting views. It's not affecting character.
nobody knows.
Let's exactly let them build.
but in the
basements.
policy says you would have to get the permit for the house and then a second permit for the basement. So you had to wait for the basement to be able to build the first house.
All right, but it's a possibility. We don't allow it.
It was, and also you could add a second story up to 18 feet, and that wasn't cool, right? So yeah.
Well, this was a fun discussion, Josh. Thanks for.
I feel like we could keep going.
Yeah,
We'll have to do a part 2.
we got to do a part 2 to solve the problem.
Yeah, what are the solutions?
A bunch of problems.
He gave us.
Well,
what is the
I'm not, dude. I'm not running for council. Dude, no way.
Well, thanks.
Maybe.
Thanks for making.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And cue the music.